My 23F boyfriend 24M didn't want to pay $200 to save my life. I was at a bar with my boyfriend and his friends a while ago. We all had a great time, dancing on tables, singing, and drinking. I remember feeling totally fine one second, and the next I got very unsteady, and I lost connection with my body. I got confused and scared, but then just so calm. It was all types of weird. This is seconds here and there I remember, but most things that happened don't exist in my memory. I became unconscious, and according to my boyfriend, the few times I opened my eyes, they looked very scared. He was told to get a taxi and get me to the emergency room fast. He managed to get me into the taxi and it started to drive. My boyfriend told me that during the drive, the driver told him that he would have to pay $200 extra if I threw up. Then my boyfriend said hell no, stopped the driver, and wanted to walk to the emergency room. I was still unconscious and he didn't know why or if my life was at risk. Luckily for him, the police was driving around and saw me laying on the ground. They asked him what's up and drove us to the emergency room with blue lights on and fast. They took it very seriously, and without them, my boyfriend would have been lucky to even get me to the emergency room. Turns out I got drugged that night, and it gets worse, as he forced me to walk with shaky legs from the emergency room the day after. A walk that should have been 20 minutes took me 2 hours. Even started talking about the fact that he could have gotten drugged too, and that maybe he got a little drugged, even though he didn't feel weird at all that night. Then he started to talk about him paying the taxi $40 for the little drive and how much that was. Like he wanted me to pay him back or something? He constantly stated that it was $40 and how sick that was. It's the normal price around here. He looked up symptoms related to being drugged and found that long-term symptoms would mostly be trauma. The next weekend, I had to be with his friends again and some people I didn't know. They talked about that night and even joked a little around me being drugged. Not a lot, but I felt awful. He also ignored me once when I said someone was following me. He was never scared of letting me walk around in town at night. But if a female friend did it, then he would have to follow her. He argues when I'm scared instead of making me feel better or protecting me. Other than that, he's a kind man that doesn't want to hurt people. But like, this cannot be normal. Is this relationship worth it? I'm scared, I'm overreacting, but keep in mind that most of this is told from his perspective, as I don't remember that night. Edit. I forgot to say that I asked him what he would have done differently if this happened today, and paying the taxi was not on the list. Edit 2. I said it in the comments, but it's difficult to even see it at this point. I just have to say that he did call for an ambulance, but they didn't come. According to him, it was one of the first things he did, but he told them I was unconscious, so they didn't feel the need to come? An ambulance is basically free here, meaning it would have saved him some money. He would have no reason not to call. Some people also said that I should have paid him back for the taxi, and I agree based on the information I gave you. But I was the one that paid for drinks that night, and I spent a lot more than $40 on him. In total, I spent $176 to be exact. Edit number 3. I also want to say thank you for all the feedback. It feels both awful and good having my feelings validated. In a way, I wanted you guys to tell me that I was overreacting and that he really tried his best. Seeing that you also find the situation a little screwed up makes me feel less crazy though. And yeah, I'll dump him. I think it will be the best thing for both of us. Thank God for update 3 because I would have said the same thing, dump him. Because like, what? Like, hey, sorry that you got sick and we didn't know what was wrong until you gave me $40. But also, he wasn't making his girl feel safe when she thought someone was following him? Bro, what? I don't know about him, but I was raised different. So, I don't know. Screw that guy. I wouldn't even date him. Next story. Story number 2. I'm 29F divorcing my husband 28M for suggesting an open marriage. Complicated feelings. My husband 28M and I 29F have been together for 9 years, married for 7. We got a not-so-classic shotgun wedding to give ourselves better chances of receiving custody of his half-sister, 10F, when their mom suddenly passed away. Despite only being 20 and 21 years old, we did receive full legal custody over her absent father. This information isn't super relevant to the current situation, but it really sets the tone of our relationship with the sacrifices we made together and the things we each had to give up personally to raise this beautiful little girl. We don't have any children together, but his sister is now 17 and moved in with an older, more more financially privileged aunt last year. Over the past year of this newfound time alone, I feel like we have flourished each other personally and as a couple. We never fight, arguments are rare, and we are pretty good at coming to understandings and apologizing when necessary. Basically, I feel we had a pretty healthy relationship. We each do little things for each other. I receive flowers no less than 10 times a year. We go on little vacations together and are generally really good. I guess a bit of the spark was sputtering out for a while, but I feel like that's normal for a relationship as long as ours. Moving forward to this past October, my husband seems like he has been depressed, which is normal for this time of year because of the time of losing both his mom and dad in different years around the same time. The holidays are tough for him, so I get it and try to be there for him. He had previously planned a suicide attempt because of family issues before we met, so I take his mental health very seriously. He sits me down to have a serious conversation and starts it by saying he wants to open up our relationship. I felt my heart drop to my stomach, but stayed silent and let him talk. He doesn't go into why, just jumps right into rules and explains how he wants me to find someone first before he starts looking for someone himself. When I ask him why, he couldn't explain it and fumbled his words. I asked him if he already had someone in mind for himself, and of course he denies it. I couldn't help it, I definitely blew up. I was totally blindsided by this proposal. I slept on the couch after my outburst, and he didn't even try to come after me to explain anything, which kind of made me feel worse. I had never felt so unwanted in my life than in that moment. I have never given the impression that I was the kind of girl to be open to that kind of relationship. I will never judge anyone for wanting to live that kind of life, but it's just not for me. He went to work the next day, but I had the day off and really thought about my situation. After crying for hours, I came to the realization that this was the end of our marriage. Even suggesting an open marriage was a deal breaker for me. I realized that. While he was still at work, I moved all his stuff out of our bedroom into his sister's old room, technically a spare room now. He comes home from work, ready to talk it out. After talking through more of why he wants this, I've come to realize several things. 1. He is way kinkier than he lets on, and is disappointed with our bedroom life. He knows that I'm not on the same level and doesn't want to push me past my boundaries to try things he knows I won't like. When I asked how he knows I won't like to try these things, he explains they are an escalation of things he already knows I'm not down for, but won't go into specifics. He also is unhappy with how infrequently we have sex, but has never just really put an effort to change anything regarding it. He just complained over and over and expected me to just be ready to do the deed at any minute of the day. 2. He feels we have nothing in common now that his sister is gone. For context, he is more of the outdoorsy type, whereas I like to stay inside and read or play video games. I do venture out once in a while to do things he likes together, and do genuinely enjoy them myself when I go like kayaking and skiing. I do understand that this isn't as often as he would like though. 3. Because we got married so young, there are a lot of things neither of us really got to experience or try, mostly sexual. He is mourning the loss of his young 20s and never getting to sleep around and explore his kinks. 4. Part of the rules he explained was that he wouldn't technically be sleeping around with whoever he wanted. He called it an open marriage, but described it more as polyamory, where we would each have a boyfriend or girlfriend of our own that we went on dates and did things together with. Someone we were each allowed to love and be sexually with. An emotional connection was pivotal for him, which broke my heart to pieces. During our talk, I told him I would never be able to look at him the same. I would never be enough for him, and he was basically trying to get a pass for guilt-free cheating in my eyes. I told him it sounded like he wanted to be with someone else without ever leaving the comfort of his marriage, knowing he could date around and not worrying if those relationships would fail because he could just come home to me. He tried denying these things, saying he wanted to explore himself sexually but didn't want to lose me in the process. He tried getting me to agree to marriage counseling to talk about the open marriage concept. I told him just proposing an open marriage was grounds for divorce for me, and I wasn't willing to go to a counselor for them to gang up on me to try to bully me into trying it. I know in reality that would never have happened, but emotions were high in the moment. Because I told him I could never see him the same and how badly this crushed any self-confidence I may have had. He doubled down. He said if we go back into a relationship and pretend this never happened, then he would end up cheating on me. For him, it was open marriage or nothing. I chose nothing. Divorce papers were filed exactly 1 week later. He was very hurt, angry that I could jump right to divorce and kick him out of our bedroom so fast. But I refused to be a second choice or have to fight for his attention. I can't believe he is okay with the idea of another person being inside of me. He is willing to just give me up to explore his options? I can't believe I wasted so much of my time with him, helping him heal his family and raise his sister. I feel completely used. Advice? Did I overreact? Should I have waited longer before filing for divorce? Should I have just gone to marriage counseling, or was my gut instinct correct about the marriage being over? I still love and care about him, but my brain is screaming to be logical. We still lived together while we were trying to figure out how to split everything, but now he is being super toxic and petty, saying hurtful things and then begging for personal details about my life. I need to get out of this house. How do I cope with these complicated feelings? The fact that he didn't want to talk to her or anything beforehand, it was just like he went from 0 to 100 is his biggest flaw. Maybe he could have got her to try some kinkier stuff, but he's like, no. But at the same time, it seems like he didn't really want to be with her and just was like, well, let me just try the open marriage thing anyway. At the same time, I understand they got married young, right? And you don't know yourself entirely. Like, who you are at 20 is not who you are at 25, right? And it's definitely not who you are at 30, right? So it's messy, but yeah, I think she should have left him. Okay, next story. My husband, 30M, shaved my 31F head. Me, 31F, and husband, 30M, have been married for 3 years and together for 5 years before getting married. We've always had a healthy, harmonious relationship, or at least I thought, and welcomed our daughter 3 months ago. Yesterday morning, we were getting ready in the bathroom. My husband was shaving next to me while I was brushing my teeth. Out of nowhere, he takes his electric razor and runs it through my head, shaving a part of my hair just above my forehead. First, I thought he just pretended to do it, but then saw a big chunk of my hair falling into the sink. I didn't get a complete bald spot, but the damage is clearly visible. It's important to know that I've always had long hair reaching the mid of my back. Never cut it short, not alone got a buzz cut. My husband likes long hair too and never told me to get a different haircut. So I totally freaked out, started crying and yelling at him while he was laughing. He told me it was just a prank, how it wasn't a big deal and how it was just hair and that I could grow it out again. We had a serious fight afterwards, and in the end he did apologizing, admitting he was an a-hole, but still insisting it was a prank and was funny, at least to him. Although he apologized, I still cannot forgive him. I will either need to wear a hat/scarf, brush my hair over, or get bangs, which I normally wouldn't do due to my face shape, to cover the damaged area. It will take years to grow out my hair again to its current length. However, what I'm most concerned about is that he still insists it was funny. I just don't get why he would laugh at my misery. It seems borderline sadistic and abusive to me. I'm also afraid that he would do something like this again in the future to me, or even to our daughter, because he finds it funny. I don't think I will ever be able to forgive or trust him, and I'm seriously considering getting a divorce. On the other hand, he has never done anything like that before. It seems totally out of character. He isn't a prankster or has ever made fun of me. Neither did we have any marital problems nor big fights, not even after the birth of our daughter. Until I make up my mind, I don't want to talk to my friends and family about this, as I don't want to be pressured into deciding either way or being judged if I don't take their advice. Should I stay with him or divorce him over this? That's weird, right? Like, unless he's like, sorry babe, just started a prank channel, haha, then you leave his ass fast, all right? Prank channel, red flag. But that's so weird that he's, at least to her knowledge, he's always been normal. So, I don't know. It's like he's built up enough goodwill, so she's like, kind of like in the middle. I think she should, but maybe she could. Or what if she, you know what? Next story. Story number 4. My 27F sister, 25F, boyfriend 29M, and parents 49F and 52M have completely stopped engaging with me. I, 27F, have a younger sister, Jenny, 25F. Jenny has been with and married to her husband, Jake, 27M, for almost 3 years, together for 5. They really do seem like a match made in heaven. However, one thing she's struggled with for a long time is infertility. Jenny has wanted kids for as long as I can remember, but when they started trying 3 years ago, it just never happened. They tried everything, but their doctor just said Jenny wasn't capable of carrying a baby long term. They've since looked into adoption or even surrogacy, though it is way above their budget. I, on the other hand, have never wanted kids. Not when I was a girl, not now, and hopefully I'll never have any in the future. I don't know why, but children make me anxious and childbirth is just a nightmare to even think about. Recently, I found out I was pregnant. It was a complete shock and sent me into a panic attack. My boyfriend, 29M, was upset when I immediately suggested ending the pregnancy. I told him I didn't want kids ever, but he was adamant on not ending the pregnancy. He suggested taking full custody and raising the baby all by himself if that's what I wanted. He reluctantly even suggested adopting the baby out of my hands completely. Anything, but he was not willing to be without the baby. And my parents reacted worse. They said they wouldn't allow me to hurt a living being and offered other options. They even told my sister, who just jumped at the chance to adopt my baby, saying it was perfect and the baby could remain in the family and be raised by loving parents. Now, I don't doubt they'd make great parents, but I just don't want to go through a pregnancy. Every moment felt like an explosion would go off at any moment. I hated it and I refused to continue with the pregnancy. I went behind their backs and got the procedure done. When they found out, my boyfriend just coldly told me we are done and walked out. He isn't taking my calls now. Jenny wailed and insulted me before Jake took her home. She then blocked me and has since refused to even look at me. My parents kept saying they are disappointed and wished I wasn't their daughter so they wouldn't have to deal with me. I just want to fix things with them. They're my family and have always been kind and caring. I desperately want to sort out their problems and for things to go back to how it was before I got pregnant. Any advice on how I can explain my feelings to my family? ETA, guys, please. My parents and sister and boyfriend are not bad people. I know I wasn't in the wrong for choosing what to do with my body, and neither do I think they were wrong for being pro-life. My parents have cared for, raised, and supported me all my life. Through my teenage years, my studies, my relationship issues, career problems, everything. I know they aren't bad people. I just want to know how I can explain my feelings to them because I'm confused and struggling with expressing myself. My boyfriend and I have been together for 9 years. We literally grew up together and promised to always be there for each other and always chose each other. He supported me through everything. He offered every help he could think of during the 2.5 months I was pregnant. He tried to understand my fears and helped me through it. I understand I was wrong to go behind his back, but that's done, and now I want to know how I can move past this. He didn't leave when people made fun of him for dating me, when college life got too hectic and we had to go days without seeing each other, when my grandma died, when I was sick, or when I was terrified of a baby. He was there for it all, and I don't want to be without him. Please help me convince him to seek counseling or therapy or whatever it takes. I can't bear to lose him. You know what? Maybe I'll get some flack here. What she did wrong, so you know what? If she wants to get rid of it, that's her choice. But what she did wrong, she went behind their backs. She should have said, hey, I'm not in a position. I've never wanted kids. I understand, boyfriend, you want kids. I understand, sister, you want kids. But I don't want kids, all right? I don't want to go through that. You guys need to consider me. But instead, she kind of did the easy route, and now I think she might be paying for it. Again, I'm not judging her for getting rid of it. I'm not happy with the way she went about it. And now everyone feels betrayed and hurt because she essentially went behind their backs, right? It's a complicated situation. It sucks, but at least that's how I see it. So as to how she can win everyone's favor back, I don't know. Maybe time, maybe the boyfriend's like, yo, I'm done. I don't know. That sucks. It's a sucky situation all around, but I feel like she should have went to them and talked to them. Again, most of the ways you resolve problems is by talking. Okay, I'm done. Bye.